Welcome to Sora Law, where we unravel the most chilling mysteries and true crime stories that lie just beneath the surface of everyday life. Tonight, we take you to Neptune City, New Jersey, a peaceful coastal town where the waves gently lap at the shores and the community thrives on a tight-knit bond. But even the most serene settings can harbor the darkest secrets. On a frigid December night in 2016, 19-year-old Sarah Miller vanished without a trace, leaving behind an abandoned car on a desolate bridge. What happened to Sarah? Was it a desperate act of escape, or was something far more sinister at play? As we peel back the layers of this case, you'll be taken on a journey filled with unexpected twists, shocking revelations, and an ending you won't see coming. December 3, 2016, started as an ordinary day in Neptune City, New Jersey. The town, known for its picturesque coastline and quiet neighborhoods, was in the throes of winter. The chill in the air was palpable, and the streets were deserted as most residents huddled indoors, escaping the biting cold. But as the night progressed, something far darker than the weather was about to unfold. At 2:46 a.m., a 911 call was made by an Uber driver crossing the Route 35 bridge that connects Neptune City to the neighboring town of Belmar. The driver reported an abandoned car, a tan sedan, parked haphazardly on the side of the bridge. The car, with its engine still warm, had its doors unlocked and the keys left in the ignition. There was no sign of the driver or any passengers, just an eerie stillness that hung in the air. The car was quickly identified as belonging to 19-year-old Sarah Miller, a local college student known for her artistic talents and kind-hearted nature. Sarah lived with her father, Michael, and her grandmother in Neptune City. The sudden discovery of her abandoned car sent shockwaves through the small town. Sarah was not someone who would simply vanish. She was loved by everyone who knew her and had a bright future ahead. The police were called to the scene, and their initial investigation only deepened the mystery. There were no signs of a struggle or any indications that Sarah had been forcibly taken from the car. It was as if she had simply stepped out and disappeared into the night. But those who knew Sarah best were quick to dismiss the idea that she would have left of her own accord. Sarah was a reckless optimist, as her friends described her, always looking forward to the future with enthusiasm. She had dreams of moving to Canada, pursuing her passion for art, and living a life filled with creativity and adventure. As the police began their investigation, they quickly contacted Sarah's father, Michael, who was in Florida on a business trip at the time. Michael was devastated when he learned that his daughter was missing. He immediately began the long drive back to New Jersey, his mind racing with fear and worry. Sarah's disappearance didn't make sense. She had everything to live for, and there were no signs that she was unhappy or in distress. When the police searched Sarah's home, they found more questions than answers. The lights were on, the back door was unlocked, and Sarah's beloved dog Buddy was found locked in his cage, a highly unusual occurrence, as Sarah always let Buddy roam freely around the house. There was no sign of a struggle, no indication that Sarah had been taken against her will. It was as if she had simply walked out the door, leaving her life behind. The police also found Sarah's phone on the kitchen counter, plugged into the charger. It was an odd detail. Why would Sarah leave her phone behind if she was planning to go somewhere? The last messages on the phone were from her best friend, Liam Hayes, who had been trying to reach her throughout the evening. Liam was one of the first people Michael asked the police to contact. He and Sarah had been inseparable since childhood, their friendship solidified by years of shared experiences and mutual support. When the police visited Liam, he seemed cooperative but strangely detached. He told them that he had seen Sarah earlier in the day, helping her pack up some belongings to take to a neighbor's house. They had grabbed lunch at Taco Bell, and then he had gone to work, losing track of his phone in the process. He claimed that Sarah had been in a downcast mood, talking about her desire to leave New Jersey and start fresh in Canada. But as the police dug deeper, they began to notice inconsistencies in Liam's story. For instance, security footage confirmed that Sarah had been with Liam at Taco Bell, but there was also footage of her withdrawing $7,000 from her bank account shortly before she vanished, money that was part of her inheritance. Strangely, Liam had failed to mention this withdrawal when speaking to the police, despite having been with Sarah at the time. Moreover, the timeline of events didn't add up. Liam had told the police he worked until midnight on the night Sarah disappeared, but records showed he clocked out at 10 p.m., leaving a 2-hour window unaccounted for. This discrepancy, combined with the discovery that Sarah's car had been seen leaving her driveway around 11:45 p.m., raised alarm bells for the investigators. Was Liam hiding something, or was he involved in something far more sinister? As news of Sarah's disappearance spread through Neptune City, the community was gripped by fear and speculation. The town, normally so quiet and safe, was now the center of a potential tragedy. The police organized search parties, and volunteers combed the area for any sign of Sarah. Among the searchers were Liam and another close friend, Preston Taylor. The two young men were often seen together with Sarah, their tight-knit friendship well known throughout the town. To everyone around them, they appeared to be devastated by Sarah's disappearance, offering support to her family and participating in every search effort. But behind the scenes, the police were growing increasingly suspicious of Liam and Preston. Despite their outward appearances, there were inconsistencies in their stories. Liam had told the police that he and Preston had gone to a local bar after work on the night Sarah disappeared, but the bartender had no recollection of seeing them. In fact, security footage from the bar showed that neither Liam nor Preston had been there that night. The police also discovered that Preston had been in contact with Sarah shortly before she disappeared. He had sent her a series of text messages, asking her to meet him at the Route 35 bridge. When questioned about this, Preston claimed that he had simply wanted to talk to Sarah about a personal matter, but she never showed up. However, the tone of the messages suggested something more urgent, something that didn't quite match Preston's casual explanation. The breakthrough in the case came from an unexpected source. A former classmate of Liam's, Anthony Curry, came forward with information that changed the course of the investigation. Anthony told the police about a disturbing conversation he had with Liam just days before Sarah went missing. Liam had described in detail a plan to murder a woman, steal her money, and make it look like a suicide by throwing her body off a bridge. At the time, Anthony thought Liam was just talking about a movie plot after all. Liam was known for his love of horror films and dark humor. But now, with Sarah missing and the details eerily matching her case, Anthony realized that Liam's plot might have been a real-life plan. The police asked Anthony to meet with Liam and see if he could get him to talk. Equipped with a hidden microphone, Anthony agreed to help, knowing that his decision could be the key to finding out what really happened to Sarah. The recorded conversation was chilling. Liam, clearly paranoid and agitated, confessed to Anthony that he had killed Sarah. He described in detail how he had strangled her in her home, how her dog had watched silently, and how he had needed Preston's help to dispose of the body. Liam's cold, detached manner as he recounted the murder was shocking. He spoke about it as if it were nothing more than a task he needed to complete. "I picked her up and strangled her," Liam said, his voice emotionless. "She was struggling, but I just kept going. It took a lot longer than I thought it would." Liam went on to describe how he and Preston had staged the scene, placing Sarah's body in her car and driving it to the bridge. They had intended to throw her body into the river, but when they struggled with the weight, they had to adjust their plan. Eventually, they succeeded in getting her over the railing, believing the current would carry her out to sea, never to be found. With the evidence from the recorded confession, the police moved quickly to arrest Liam and Preston. The town was in shock as the news broke. Two young men who had been so close to Sarah, who had been seen as her protectors and friends, were now revealed as her killers. During the interrogation, Preston confessed to his role in the crime, providing further details that corroborated Liam's confession. He admitted that he had known about the plan for weeks and had agreed to help for a share of the money. Preston described how they had buried Sarah's belongings in a nearby park, intending to return later to retrieve them. He also confessed to helping Liam dispose of Sarah's body, describing the events in cold, clinical detail. But as the investigation continued, another shocking detail emerged. Preston claimed that the murder had not been Liam's idea at all. Instead, he pointed the finger at Michael Miller, Sarah's own father. Preston told the police that Michael had been the mastermind behind the entire plot. According to Preston, Michael had discovered the money that Sarah had inherited from her mother and had wanted it for himself. But instead of simply taking the money, Michael concocted a plan to make it look like Sarah had committed suicide, leaving him free to claim her inheritance without suspicion. Preston claimed that Michael had approached Liam and him with a plan, offering them a cut of the money in exchange for their help. Michael had even provided the detailed instructions on how to stage the scene, right down to the exact location on the bridge where they were to dispose of Sarah's body. Preston insisted that he and Liam had been reluctant participants, coerced into the crime by Michael's manipulative tactics. The police were initially skeptical of Preston's claims. After all, why would a father orchestrate such a horrific crime against his own daughter? But as they dug deeper, they found disturbing evidence that lent credibility to Preston's story. For one, Michael had a significant gambling problem that he had kept hidden from his family. His financial records revealed that he was deeply in debt, owing large sums of money to various creditors. In the weeks leading up to Sarah's disappearance, Michael had made several large cash withdrawals from his bank account, despite claiming that he was out of town on a business trip. The police also discovered that Michael had taken out a life insurance policy on Sarah just months before her disappearance. The policy, worth $500,000, listed Michael as the sole beneficiary. This, combined with his financial troubles, painted a picture of a man desperate for money, desperate enough to murder his own daughter. When confronted with the evidence, Michael denied everything, insisting that he had nothing to do with Sarah's death. But the police were convinced that they had uncovered the true mastermind behind the crime. The trial of Liam Hayes, Preston Taylor, and Michael Miller was one of the most highly publicized in New Jersey's history. The community, still reeling from the betrayal, followed every detail with morbid fascination. The prosecution presented a damning case, using the recorded confession, Preston's testimony, and the physical evidence to paint a picture of cold-blooded murder motivated by greed. Liam's defense team attempted to argue that the confession was coerced, that Liam was simply trying to impress Anthony with a fictional story. They claimed that there was no direct evidence linking Liam to Sarah's death, and without a body, there could be no murder conviction. But the jury was not convinced. The details of the confession, the corroborating evidence from Preston, and the sheer brutality of the crime left little room for doubt. After a tense and emotional trial, Liam Hayes was found guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and desecration of human remains. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Preston Taylor, who had cooperated with the investigation, received a reduced sentence of 18 years in prison for his role in the crime. Michael Miller's trial followed shortly after. The prosecution argued that Michael had manipulated Liam and Preston into carrying out his plan, using his financial troubles and gambling debts as a motive. The defense, however, painted a different picture, claiming that Michael had been framed by Liam and Preston in a desperate attempt to avoid the death penalty. But the evidence against Michael was overwhelming. The life insurance policy, the gambling debts, and the cash withdrawals all pointed to a man willing to do whatever it took to secure his financial future, even if it meant killing his own daughter. The jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning with a guilty verdict. Michael Miller was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The dark and twisted tale of Sarah Miller's murder is a chilling reminder of the lengths some people will go to satisfy their greed and desires. In the end, it wasn't just one person who betrayed Sarah, but those she trusted the most. Her tragic story serves as a stark warning of the dangers that can lurk even within our closest relationships. Here at Soralaw, we are dedicated to shedding light on the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface of seemingly normal lives. If this story has left you questioning the world around you, be sure to subscribe to our channel and join us as we continue to explore the mysteries of the human condition. Remember, sometimes the most dangerous people are those we think we know the best.